I'm Tiana Cole with the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. Here's a recap of the top stories covered within the past week. More concerns have been raised about a price tag for prime land that was sold to a convicted United States fraudster, Ed Ahmad's company, for upscaling housing at Ogle on the east coast of Demerara. More details in this Travis J's report.
Leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, is calling on government to come clean over the sale of lands at Ogle on the east coast of Demerara to United States-based Guyanese Ed Ahmad, who was previously convicted in New York for mortgage fraud. Ahmad has inked an agreement for the purchase of land near ExxonMobil's new headquarters at Ogle to build an upscale residential complex. While the Ministry of Housing has defended the sale, Hughes believes that there is more in the mortar than the pestle.
And we asked them to release the list of persons who have been the beneficiary of those contracts.
Mr. Ahmad signed the agreement in his capacity of Director and Secretary of the new Global Investment Corporation. The lingering question for the AFC is how could such prime land be sold at $30 million per acre?
This company gets a whole acre for $30 million. And we have to see, they say it's standard. I've seen their statement. But we have to see what the procedure is, who were the special invitees.
The Central Housing and Planning Authority and New Global Investment Corporation agreed that Ahmad's company would substantially complete 70% of the residential constructions within 3 years of July 17, 2024. The agreement also provides for the land to be used to construct upscale residential developments within the residential zone only, consisting of residential dwellings, townhouses, and apartments in accordance with the project proposal.
You've applied for a house lot. How much should be paid for it? Somewhere around $8 million, right? That's about 1/8 of an acre. So if an acre is the size of 8 house lots, that's 64 million, isn't it? Per acre, on average.
Ahmad was convicted and jailed in the U.S. in 2017 for mortgage fraud. He had also been ordered to pay U.S. $2.6 million to victims. It has now become clearer that Ed Ahmad is back into the business of real estate in clear violation of a United States court order. A United States judge had ordered that Ed Ahmad shall comply with the restitution order, that he shall provide full financial disclosure and shall not work in the mortgage industry. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Monday, the Ghana Elections Commission GCOM intends to train close to 20,000 polling day staff. The elections body also plans to spend $427.5 million on civic and voter education. Find out more in this report. On day 2 of the consideration of estimates for the national budget, the Committee of Supply on Monday heard that the Ghana Elections Commission GCOM intends to train thousands of polling day staff and will spend in excess of $427.5 million on civic and voter education, including the printing of manuals.
This is involving 19,000 people being trained for election day staff.
Opposition parliamentarian Annette Ferguson also questioned MP Teixeira about the Commission's request for $122 million for the rental and maintenance of buildings.
Rental of buildings for polling stations, $122,700,000. And this is under 2 programs, Program 1, $94,744,000, and Program 2, $132,561,000. So this is all the increase, obviously, is because of elections and that we have to have polling stations. Some may be free public buildings, others may have to be rented.
Another opposition parliamentarian, Ganesh Mahipal, also questioned the budgetary allocation for wages and salaries. He noted that in 2024, $1.8 billion was expended in comparison to $1.7 billion budgeted for 2025, a decrease despite a 10% salary increase last year and an additional 8% this year. In response, Teixeira stated that $1.6 billion has been set aside for salaries, including $320.1 million for assistant returning officers, $320.1 million for civic and voter education assistance, $423.9 million for returning officers, and $430.5 million for security officers. Mahipal clearly not satisfied with the answer for the questioned decrease in employment cost.
Reflected in the numbers before me in Appendix T is a decrease from that sum. If salaries are being increased, why is this number reflected here as a decrease from 2024?
Teixeira explained that the decrease in overhead expenditure was due to reduced overtime payments in 2024, as it was not an election year. Mahipal then inquired about the salaries and benefits of the chief election officer at GCOM, to which Teixeira responded.
The monthly total is $3,331,252, and the total grand total for 12 months is $44,724,632.
The Deputy Chief Election Officer's total annual payment is $20.4 million, while the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission receives a basic salary of $2.7 million, with an annual total of $33.4 million. Tiana Ko reporting for the HGP Nightly News. A senior functionary in the Ministry of Housing and Water has tendered his resignation amid allegations of real estate fraud and illegal sale of lands to a convicted overseas-based Guyanese fraudster. Here is more from Travis Jace.
In the wake of several questionable sale of prime lands at Ogle on the east coast of Demerara to convicted Guyanese fraudster Ed Ahmad, and a complaint lodged with the United States Department of Justice over high-priced real estate transactions in New York, the Chief Executive Officer of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sherwin Greaves, tendered his resignation on Monday evening. The government has remained mum on the resignation of Greaves, but Nightly News has been able to confirm that Greaves' resignation was handed to Minister of Housing Colin Crowell. Early Tuesday, Greaves issued a statement to several sections of the press insisting he is innocent. Greaves said, quote, "To address the many questions about whether I have resigned, yes, I have, effective immediately. This decision is a deeply personal one made after consulting with my family," unquote. He went on to say, quote, "Let me be crystal clear. My resignation is purely a personal choice and in no way an admission of guilt," unquote. Mr. Greaves said he decided to resign based on several posts on social media that were directed at him personally, and that those posts have caused significant distress to his family. Businessman Terence Campbell on Saturday said on his Facebook profile that he filed a report with the U.S. Justice Department urging an investigation into Sherwin Greaves' purchase of a property from Reliable Custom Builders, Inc., represented by Rashad Ahmad, the son of Ed Ahmad. Campbell wrote, quote, "If the Sherwin Greaves is the same person as the CEO of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, then it would seem that the sale of the NY property was a quid pro quo for favors to be granted in Guyana in violation of the FCPA, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act." Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned to find out what other interesting stories made the news this week.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for staying with us here on the HGP Nightly News' Week in Review. Also on Tuesday. Meanwhile, The head of state is in total defense of land sold to a private developer, saying its administration ensures the rigorous process is adhered to. Here is more from Travis Chase.
President Irfan Ali has come out in defense of government's allocation of land to private developers. This was after concerns were raised in various sections of the media over the questionable sale of prime lands to convicted fraudster Ed Ahmad. It is the position of the president that private developers have to go through a rigorous process before they are given the title to lands.
When you look at the total acreage that was developed and divested into the hands of these Guyanese, as against the acreage that would have been allocated for private development or for development by private developers, that allocation for private developers and commercial purposes is less than 10%. Less than 10% of the lands allocated for the housing and house lots.
The president stressed that agreements entered into with these private developers are not convoluted, maintaining that several other standards must be met.
And if you look at the agreement that we signed with private developers, regardless who the developers are, first of all, there's a process. There was an expression of interest. Private developers would have had the opportunity to respond to that expression of interest, and all of the developers would have signed the same agreement.
Most recently, the Central Housing and Planning Authority have come under the microscope over the sale and allocation of prime lands at Ogle and along the Heroes Highway on the east bank of Demerara to developers who are known to have ties to the PPPC government.
In this agreement under the People's Progressive Party civic government, no land can be transferred or vested without the full payment.
With $112.6 billion allocated to the housing sector in Budget 2025, President Ali said his government will continue its mandate in developing the housing sector. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
On Wednesday, a city councillor was stabbed to death in Durban's Backland early Wednesday. The police have not yet located his killer. More details in this Travis Chase report.
A 16-year-old male is being sought by the police over the killing of 47-year-old Kyle Solomon and a Partnership for National Unity city councillor. The killing of Solomon happened Wednesday morning at Durban Backlands. It is believed that Solomon had confronted bandits who broke into his shop and was stabbed to death in the process. This was confirmed by several persons who spoke with Nightly News, but preferred their identities withheld.
So when I get up and I go by the window, the man was like, I don't catch you inside of my place, like you don't kill me. And he was, yes, I'm gonna kill you. Right? And he continued joking the man.
Police who are on the hunt for the 16-year-old suspect heard that this is not the first time the teen had broken into the councillor's shop. Carmelita Collins, a close friend of Solomon, spoke of the previous incident.
Last week, my daughter coming out for to work, coming through the stockade, and when I watch, I see the shop door open. So I say, Asha, Manny, the Kyle shop open, and it was like 5 o'clock. She said, oh God, Mommy, look. So I decided to call Kyle. I said, Kyle, you're home. He said, no, I'm at work. I said, Kyle, your shop break. He said, go in the shop. No, he said, one miss. I said, Kyle, I can't go in your shop. Why go? I go into work and I go to work.
Solomon was stabbed to his chest, lower abdomen, left side, and left elbow. His body is at the Memorial Gardens Funeral Home awaiting an autopsy. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Still on news from Wednesday. Meanwhile, the mayor and city council say Councillor Solomon will be missed greatly, as he was very vocal on critical issues and his role as an actionable councillor. Here is more from Dacia Richards.
As politicians from across the political spectrum express shock and sadness over the horrific killing of a Partnership for National Unity councillor Kyle Solomon, Deputy Mayor of Georgetown Denise Miller, in expressing shock and sadness, said, above all, Kyle will be missed greatly at the Mayor and City Council.
We have lost an invaluable councillor. Many times he would have stand up and represent persons. He was a councillor who you could have sit down, get ideas, his interest was the development of the people.
Miller said Solomon was passionate about his role as a councillor and about Constituency 9, which he represented. She said Guyana has lost a well-rounded councillor, a much-loved friend and colleague.
We are hurt. We're overwhelmed right now because not only the invaluableness of the council, but the fact of the community. This morning, what I've seen here is an outpour of sympathy, of sadness, because the people indeed in this area would have lost a councillor who was there for them.
Mostly, according to Deputy Mayor Miller, Solomon will be missed for being the most vocal on critical issues affecting the Mayor and City Council and its constituents.
Councillors, what do you think? And Kyle was one of the persons who were very vocal, I can tell you that. He will say to you, Mr. Mayor, this is how I see things. And so we would have lost a comrade, we would have lost a friend.
Councillor Solomon was stabbed to death Wednesday morning after he confronted a 16-year-old bandit who had broken into his shop at Durban Backlands. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
More of the top stories of the past week after the break. Stay tuned.
Interested in honoring or paying tribute to a loved one, or just making a loved one feel special? HGP TV offers you all that and more. Air your birthday greetings, death announcements, and wedding anniversaries on HGP TV today. HGP TV offers affordable prices, convenience, and great services. Call us on 220-3660 or email us at sales@hgptv.com.
Thanks for staying with us. On Thursday, a senior policeman is now a civilian after the Police Service Commission fired him on the recommendation of a tribunal that was established to investigate a number of allegations of misconduct. More from Travis Jason.
The Police Service Commission said it has formally notified Embattled Assistant Commissioner of Police Calvin Brutus that he has been dismissed from the Guyana Police Force with immediate effect. A release from the Police Service Commission said that it deliberated upon a report of a tribunal appointed by the PSC, and based upon recommendations of that tribunal, it moved to dismiss Brutus from the Guyana Police Force. Quote, "You are hereby notified that the Commission has determined that you should be and are hereby dismissed from the Guyana Police Force effective February 5, 2025. Unquote. The PSC Secretary Jagdeo Singh told Mr. Brutus. The PSC said that the former Assistant Commissioner of Police has been dismissed for breaches of discipline and discreditable conduct which he allegedly committed while performing duties of Deputy Commissioner of Police Administration in the Guyana Police Force during the period of August 2020 to July 2024. It was former chairman of the Police Service Commission, Paul Slow, whose crystal ball saw that the very tribunal would have dismissed Brutus.
There is only one aim of that tribunal, one, for dismiss Brutus. So regardless whether he participate or not, at the end of the tribunal, or as the sergeant call it, the tribal union, he is going to be dismissed.
The PSC also informed Mr. Brutus that the Commissioner of Police Clifton Hicken has been informed to take all actions necessary to facilitate Brutus's handover and return of all documents, equipment, and other assets belonging to the Guyana Police Force currently in his possession. When contacted by Nightly News on Wednesday, Mr. Brutus told Nightly News that he has not been officially informed that he has been fired from the Guyana Police Force. Mr. Brutus is facing more than 200 fraud-related charges. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Also on Thursday, there has been a number of excuses regarding the delayed release of the 2022 National Census data. Antonio Day now tells us that Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, did not respond to questions posed during the consideration of estimates prior to the passage of the 2025 national budget.
During the final day of the consideration of estimates for the 2025 national budget, Shadow Minister of Finance and Parliamentarian Director of Finance questioned the delay in releasing data from the 2022 census. Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, in providing a response, acknowledged that the Bureau of Statistics was faced with several challenges, such as access to terrains and poorest communities.
I know that they encountered significant challenges in that regard, and that's not unique to Guyana.
Opposition Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson, though, indicated that the national data should have been completed. However, Dr. Singh said that the government is anxious for the release of this information, and as such concerns were communicated to the Bureau of Statistics.
And I have conveyed this as clearly as I possibly can to the Chief Statistician and the Bureau of Statistics. They are aware of the fact that we look forward to receiving this data, because, of course, the census data is extremely important in terms of demographic trends and policy making.
Finance further questioned Dr. Singh about the current state of affairs.
What stage the process is at right now? Did the Stats Bureau complete the collection of data? Are they still collecting? Are they compiling? Are they analyzing? What stage are they at right now?
They have essentially completed the field work, which is the enumeration, visiting of the households, etc. My latest information is that they are at an advanced stage of analysis of the data and triangulating that data.
Dr. Singh told the Parliamentary Committee of Supply that the report is currently in preparation mode. In mid-October, the Bureau of Statistics said a preliminary report on the 2022 population and housing census would be released soon. The Bureau attributed the delay in the publication of the 2022 census to several factors, including weather, terrain, and persons not being available at home during visits. Meanwhile, this was the position of Alliance for Change leader Nigel Hughes late last year regarding the delayed release of the census data.
All this does is lead to unnecessary speculation and anxiety in relation to the population, the size of the population, the jobs that the population offers.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
And finally, on Friday, Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George on Friday handed down a ruling in the matter brought by a group of Mocha Arcadia residents who sought over $200 million in damages after their homes were bulldozed by the government in early 2023. On Friday, Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George ruled against 6 displaced squatters of Caneview Mocha, whose homes were bulldozed by the state in early 2023. The residents lost their base for compensation and have instead been ordered to pay costs to the state after the court found that their claims of land ownership and constitutional violations could not be substantiated. In handing down a ruling, the acting Chief Justice stated that the residents failed to provide evidence supporting their claims of ownership for lots 11 and 16 at Caneview. The judge pointed out critical details such as clear survey data and detailed land descriptions were missing. The applicants alleged that their constitutional rights were breached when their homes were destroyed to facilitate the construction of a 4-lane highway. However, the acting Chief Justice stated that the complaints were unfounded, characterizing the case as a private property dispute rather than a constitutional matter. She also noted that decision made by the residents not to accept government's offer for compensation. The government had long maintained that residents were squatting on its reserve and had issued several notices directing their removal. While some residents accepted the government's offer of house and land in Little Diamond Housing Scheme, others, who had been living there for more than 30 years, have held out. The Chief Justice acknowledged that properties were damaged and noted that a separate claim for property damage should have been filed instead. Furthermore, the Chief Justice ruled that residents must also pay damages to the Attorney General and the Ministry of Housing, Central Housing and Planning Authority. Demolitions occurred when the government tore down 7 homes in Mocha Arcade to clear the path for a new 4-lane road along Heroes Highway. The highway has since been completed, however, it is far from the area where the squatters had occupied. The residents were represented by Attorney at Law Vivian Williams, while the state was represented by Attorney General Anil Nandlal and his team. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News. The personal friend of a convicted Guyanese fraudster has defended the sale of prime lands at Ogle on the east coast of the Demerara. To said friend, more details in this Travis J's report.
There was no preferential treatment given to convicted Guyanese fraudster Ed Ahmad when he acquired prime lands at Ogle on the east coast of Demerara. This was declared by Ahmad's personal friend and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic, Barra Jagdeo.
But was there any preferential treatment of this individual because of connections to the PPP? The answer is absolutely not and cannot be proven.
The new Global Investment Corporation, whose director and secretary is Edul Ahmad, on July 17, 2024, signed an agreement to purchase land at Ogle, East Coast Demerara, at a cost of $30 million Guyana dollars per acre to construct an upscale housing project. Many believe that Ahmad, who is still tied to restitution in the United States, purchased those lands well below the market value.
I don't know whether CHPA took that into consideration, so we should find out from them.
Leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, has publicly called on the Central Housing and Planning Authority to reveal the criteria used to sell prime lands in the Ogle area for $30 million per acre.
Personally, I didn't even know that there was an agreement with Ed Ahmad.
Edul Ahmad was previously convicted for mortgage fraud in the United States, and part of his condition for travel out of the United States of America is that he should not enter into real estate. Mr. Jagdeo was asked about this, but in his usual style, deflected.
There are lots of people who have been convicted in this country and still are getting contracts, benefits from people.
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
That has brought us to the end of the HGP Nightly News This Week in Review. On behalf of the Nightly News team, thanks for watching.